Hello friends, Chaim Mailspin here. Many of you know me as a Galilean because I live in the Galilee, but behind me, believe it or not, is not the Galilee. Guess where I am? I'm actually in the cities of the Negev. Yeah, I'm very close to Beersheba, and look at the resurrection of this land which was once a desolation. I mean, do you know that it says in Obadiah, it talks about the cities of the Negev will once again be inhabited by new immigrants. And as someone who deals with new immigrants all the time on a day-to-day basis, I recognize, wow, we are living in times of resurrection. And let me tell you, this land that we're seeing behind me, it used to be Israel. But over time, Muslims occupied this land, Turkish occupied this land, British occupied this land, but eventually the proper stewards that God aforeordained are now stewarding this land, and that's the Jewish people. But is it easy when we discuss the Bible? No, it's not easy even in the land of the Bible. And let me tell you this, right now we are living in desperate times. We're living in times where there's a sifting, a polarization of those who will stand with the Word of God and those who will stand against the Word of God. I see that every day. Recently in the news, we saw and we heard of attacks happening in the center of Israel. Drive-by shooting of Palestinians shot innocent shoppers that were in the middle of Petah Tikva. We have ISIS coordinating attacks on innocent people. We see a turmoil in the whole vicinity in this, what some would call the blood basin, around the Mediterranean basin. We have in Turkey, uproar. We have in Syria, but with boots on the ground, I want to assure you that God is in control. I want to assure you that certainly we haven't yet reached heaven, or better worded, the time when Messiah will enforce peace here and bring and the lion will lay down with the lamb in the millennial reign. We haven't yet reached that, but we are seeing that God is moving. If you talk to any Israeli on the streets, and you'd ask them, what do you think about the rise of President Trump in the United States? Do you think that he will follow a trend which is, do you know what BDS means? Boycott, divestments, sanctions. This is what was used against South Africa because of the heinous apartheid that was happening there between blacks and whites. Blacks weren't allowed to study with whites. Blacks weren't allowed to vote. Blacks weren't allowed to hold political office or be policemen, etc. None of that is the case here in Israel. In fact, just recently, one of the schools that won some of the highest marks in Israel was from Al-Faham, which is an Arab town. We've had presiding over Netanyahu's re-election was a Muslim Arab. Many people don't know because they're not here on the ground. They listen to propaganda. I myself have many friends all over the Galilee that are Arabs. So Israelis were asking, what do you think concerning this man Trump? Do you think he will be Israel's friend, or will he follow other trends of former presidents? And the question was raised. Many Israelis said, we don't know what to make of him as of yet. We have very, very high hopes. I know that Netanyahu has just met with him yesterday. All the Israelis on every bus, all the radios were turned on listening in a language they don't understand. It was in English, where Netanyahu spoke with Trump about things such as God's words. I don't know if you know the verse that says God spoke to Abraham, and when he was standing in the West Bank, or Judea and Samaria, the biblical heartland of Israel, where 83% of the Bible happened. So God spoke to Abraham, and he says, Abraham, look up from the place where your feet stand, to the north, to the south, to the east, to the west. All of this land I will give you and to your descendants until the Oslo Accords. Just kidding. Forever. And that happened in the West Bank, which is the heartland of Israel. So what I'm amazed at is that question came up with Netanyahu and with Trump, and they asked, what is your stance? And he says, you know what? Maybe it won't be a two-state solution. Maybe it won't be a three-state solution. Maybe it'll be a one-state solution, meaning as God intended, the Jew and Gentile will live in peace and not fight each other. And I'm believing that the peace of God will reign supreme over this whole land, from the south way up to the north, and that we will all be able to participate in that and to see it come to pass.